Yeah, good afternoon, students. In the previous class, we had a discussion on pointers, and we discussed about what is a pointer and how a pointer can be declared. Now, in today's classroom discussion topic, we would like to discuss about the declaration as well as initialization of the pointers. So now I would like to share my screen. Hope my screen is visible to you. So the topic for today's discussion is that declaring and initializing the pointer variables. So summary of the previous classroom discussion topic is that we had a discussion on the pointers. So C language is providing the pointers concept, and we defined a pointer as a pointer is a variable which is used for storing the address of another variable. And we saw that these are the two important operators which are used in pointers. That is, one is the address of operator, and another one is called it as the star operator, which is called it as the pointer indirection operator. So these two operators are used in the pointers that we saw in the previous example also by taking one program. Now, today's classroom discussion topic is declaring and initializing pointer variables. So this session will develop the students' knowledge on how to declare and initialize the pointers in C language. That is the objective of this today's session. And the outcome of this session is that after completion of this session, student will able to develop the code in C language using pointers concept. Now, how do we declare a pointer? So the syntax we have to follow for declaring the pointer is the data type and then star followed by the pointer variable name. Just like if you remove the star, then it becomes it as a normal variable declaration. So if you keep the star, then it becomes it as a pointer variable declaration. Fine. So here you are declaring that int star ptr. So ptr is a pointer variable which is used to store the address of another integer variable. Okay. So for example, you declared a. For example, int a you declared that. Okay. So which is having the value some 20 into this. Fine. So if I want to store the address of this a, which is assumed here in this example is 3500. So you can declare a pointer some ptr, and then you can store the address of a into this ptr. So as ptr is equal to, simply you can say that ampersand a. So ampersand is an operator which is used to get the address of that particular variable. Fine. So this is what the regular syntax we will use to assign the address of a variable to a pointer. So here another important declaration and initialization of the pointer is that in this particular example, so we are declaring a float variable float f1 whose value is 2.34, and then we are declaring a pointer float star ptr. Now ptr is a pointer which is of type float. Then we are assigning the address. So ptr is equal to ampersand f1. So we are storing the address of this float variable into this ptr. So the point we have to observe here is that when we are declaring a pointer variable, so the pointer variable you have to declare in such a way that the data type of the pointer should match with the data type of the variable address which you want to store. So this is not always needed here because you can typecast any variable address can be stored in any other pointer, because pointer is nothing but we are storing the address. So address is always unsigned integer values. Addresses are always unsigned integer values. So these unsigned integer values we can store in any way, variable. Fine, but to avoid the typecasting, we are defining the data type of the pointer same as the data type of the variable address which you want to store that. That is the reason here you are declaring this ptr is a float pointer, because of we want to store the address of a float variable f1 into it, like that. So similar manner, so I am declaring a character variable char ch is equal to a, and then I am declaring a pointer p1 which is of character type. Now I want to store the address of ch into this. So this is nothing but both declaration and initialization is combined in one single statement. So the declaration and initialization of the pointer is done in a single statement. So that way you can do, or you can divide this declaration and initialization assignment as a separate statement also we can do that. Okay, char star p1, then p1 equal to ampersand ch. So like this you can do this, you can separate this into two statements also we can do that. So this is how you can declare pointers of different data types and how we can initialize the pointer variables. Fine. So this is what the simple concept. So that is the reason we are declaring that. So you can declare a pointer which is of type void also, just void star ptr. Then it is said to be a pointer which is of a void type. That means there is no data type for this. So any variable address you can store into this p. Okay, this is call it as a void pointer. So we are calling it as a void pointer. We are calling it as fine. So this is an example program here which shows that we are declaring int a equal to 20 and b is equal to 56, and star p1 it is a declaration of the pointer variable, star p2 which is the declaration, and as well as here we are initializing the pointer variable p2 with the address of a. So this is declaration and initialization is done within a single statement here. Then we are printing value of a is equal to a. So it is going to print, what is the value it is going to print? It is going to print the value 20. Address of a, so it is going to print some unsigned integer value. So it is going to print address of a. Then after that here we are printing address of b. So address of b is also unsigned integer, it is going to print. And then p1 is equal to address of b. That means in p1, pointer p1 we are storing the address of b, we are storing that. That means p1 is pointing to this memory location b. Okay, so this is a b, and for this memory location, so we are pointing a pointer p1 is pointing to this particular memory location. Fine. So assume that address of this memory location is something, so 2000 if you assume that, so you can store the address of this 2000 into this p1. So star of p1, so that means suppose here we have value 10. So star of p1 it is print 10, and here also this is another way of getting the value stored in b star ampersand b, value stored at that address. So this is how we are declaring and initializing the pointers, and using that pointer variable how we can access or retrieve the values stored in this memory locations that we can demonstrated within this particular program. Fine. So pointer arithmetic. So pointer variables are also known as address type variables because they are used to store the address of another variable. So the address is the memory location that is assigned to the variable, and we have seen that it is always unsigned integers and it does not store any value. Hence there are only a few operations that are allowed to perform on pointers. So the operations which are performed on pointers are slightly different from the normal operations which we can do on the normal variables, just like integer basic variables. If you want to add two integers, you can add two integer variables if you assume a equal a and b and c are the integer variables. But similar to that, we cannot directly do the operations on the pointers. There are some limitations are there. So the valid operations that we can do on pointers are increment or decrementation of a pointer, addition of an integer value to a pointer, we can do that, subtraction of integer from a pointer, we can do that, subtraction of two pointers of the same type we can do, and comparison of pointers of the same type we can do. So these are the 5 different valid operations that we can perform on the pointers, and these 5 operations are generally called it as a pointer arithmetic, what we are calling it as. Fine. So this is a reflection spot. So what is the output of the following program? So we have given here void main int x is equal to 99, int star ptr is equal to ampersand x. That means we are storing the address of x into this ptr. Now we are accessing the value stored into that ptr here. So star ptr, it is going to print the value stored in x, which is nothing but 99. And simply if you give PTR, it is going to print the address of X, it is going to print. So this value is going to print what is the address of X, it is going to print. Fine, X address, it is going to print that. So this is what we are getting the output of this following program. So the lecture outcomes are revisited here. After completion of the session, you will be able to develop the code in C language using the pointer concept. And the summary of the session is that pointers are the variables of address type, so which are used to store the address of another variable. And the memory addresses are always the unsigned integers. And pointer variables can be declared by using data type followed by star ptr pointer variable name. And the pointer variables can be initialized at the time of declaration of the pointer itself. And there are only few operations that are allowed on pointers, and those operations are slightly different from the normal operations, mathematical operations which we can do that. So the valid operations which we can perform on the pointers are adding an integer or subtracting integers from the pointers. Example, if you take p1 is a pointer, so p1 is equal to p2 plus 2, you can do ip minus minus p1 equal to ampersand x minus 3. So like that we can do that. And subtraction of pointers from pointers is only allowable if both the pointers are of the same type. We can do that, and we can compare whether the two pointers are same. If one pointer is greater than another pointer, so the pointer comparisons we can do here. So these are some of the valid operations that we can perform through these pointers. So coming to this lecture level practice problem, so this is the problem given. So develop a C program by reading a variable and store its address into another variable, and we have to print the variable value using this pointer concept. So these are the further readings on this particular topic. Okay, so you can refer this particular textbook for in detailed description about these pointers. So thank you and all.